Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the video. I'm GetGoodGuy, and recently I realized that I'd never fired a single round with the M1907 SL Factory, and so I thought what better option to produce a weapon featurette for than one I've never touched before. Although this will be the second time some of you have seen this weapon on the channel, as I did throw it on to try to start recording for this very video, but it ended up being that period of time where Xbox BF1 was dropping crazy frames if you were in party chat at the same time as playing. So that footage was featured in my video about the day the frame rate died. But back to today, the SL Factory is pretty much a forgotten variant. By that I mean the SL Sweeper is literally around 10 times more popular according to usage stats, probably due to the ease of use of it being a full auto weapon. And then there's the SL Trench, which essentially replicates the same playstyle but with better stats if you're comfortable with the semi-auto fire mode. And then we come to the SL Factory, just kinda sat on its own in the lunch hole, wondering why it's the unpopular sibling. So let's have a look at it and see how it compares with the other two variants, and consider if it could actually be a dark horse for prom king or queen if only people paid it some more attention. So we'll kick off these differences with Recoil, and it has the same vertical recoil as the Trench variant, therefore making it worse than the Sweeper in this regard, which may seem a little odd considering the Sweeper fires in full auto, but that's not the whole story, as the Factory has comfortably superior recoil decrease. So although it may kick up more, you'll actually be able to line up your shots faster and more reliably if you have the skill and patience to deal with the more visible kick of the weapon firing. Then we have spread to consider. Now all of the variants react the same way in terms of ADS spread, but there are differences where hipfire is concerned, and predictably the Trench wins comfortably here, as it should. But it's not all doom and gloom, as the Factory variant again wins for the decreased stat, essentially making it able to fire more reliably at a higher tempo. And those are genuinely the two main differences between three strikingly similar variants when it comes to stats. So what does this mean? Well, for someone looking for essentially easy mode where little mechanical effort is required and thus the gun will also have a lower skill and reward ceiling, there's the Sweeper. For those who still want to have that close quarters killing potential, don't want or need to rely on full auto and thus can be rewarded with even better hipfire, there's the Trench. And for those who want a more rounded weapon with better accuracy and range capabilities and thus raw killing power and speed being the outcome of strong target acquisition, there's the Factory. With that in mind, I can totally see why it's the least popular variant. There are other weapons out there in the medic class that do the versatile gameplay thing better, and at close quarters the Trench variant will win out. Plus the Sweeper, as mentioned, is just easy to use. But you know what? I really enjoyed using the Factory variant. For whatever reason, it just feels like it has a really nice balance. It seems to fit well with me, so I'll absolutely be using it again. But we should probably tackle the concept of whether or not you should consider using it over other options, rather than just comparing the Factory to the other two variants. So let's quickly go through the basics of the M1907 SL as a whole. Well, it has a pretty quick close range times killed for a medic weapon. This is by virtue of having a reasonably high max damage stat of 42 and a rate of fire of 299 rounds per minute. Of course, it will still be beaten out by something like the ever popular autoloading extended, but all in all, it's a solid times kill for close quarters. That's then balanced out with a reasonably low minimum damage stat of 23. So its times kill tails off as you push out into the outer reaches of mid-range and into long range. It starts to be comfortably beaten by weapons such as the Farquhar Hill, but it does then become more potent than something like the aforementioned autoloading extended. However, if you want concrete reasoning, well, the M1907 SL requires 3 bullets to kill out to 38 meters. It then requires 4 out to 54 and 5 from there on out. Essentially what you'd expect for a weapon of this archetype. But keep in mind that some medic rifles only ever require 4 bullets at long range, some only ever require 3 at all ranges, and the RSC can drop people in 2 up to 70 meters. You have to then combine this range weakness of the M1907 SL with a poor muzzle velocity stat of 570 meters per second. So whilst doing less damage at range than with some other options, it also requires more skill and timing to hit your shot. Pour on top of this that it has bad horizontal and vertical recoil when compared with many other options, and less than special ADS spread when not moving. And well, it all sounds very negative, but it's not, because the M1907 has comparably solid spread when in ADS and moving, so it's a good strafing weapon and relies less so on standing completely still and firing, making you less of an easy target. Plus it's strong from the hip overall, so basically it's your middle ground close quarters option. It's not as lethal at close range as some options, but it isn't punished as heavily as those for mid-range fights. Plus it has 21 rounds in the magazine, which is perfectly healthy. Then for the Factory variant specifically, it has very solid spread and recoil decrease, making it a very strong pick for being able to put your shots out quickly whilst maintaining your target acquisition. condition. So you can decide from all of that if you think the SL is worth using. And no, I don't think that the factory variant is going to be prom king or queen anytime soon, but for the right player such as myself, it could actually be a very useful tool to have. I'm super pleased I used it, so if any of what you've heard sounds good, well, give the weapon a try. It just might gel with you, and let me know what you think of the M1907 SL Factory in the comments below. If you've got to this point in the video and you enjoyed it, a like rating would be super appreciated, as would a subscription if you're new around here. And because YouTube is so poor at actually displaying new videos now, turn on those notifications with the bell button to catch more of my future content. Now let's go over to the board of awesome for those epic people who allow you to get content from me full time by supporting the channel on Patreon. That Patreon support is the reason why I'm able to spend so much time producing these videos for you. Otherwise I'd have to go and get another job. So thank you so much to everyone on here. If you want to join them on the board of awesome, the link to the Patreon page is in the description and my pinned comment. And with all of that said, I'm GetGoodGuy and I'll see you next time. Laters.